I want social justice for the world. And Andy, the Palestinian American that spoke earlier, put it really well, because they said that it isn't about, if we're talking about Black Lives Matter or the movement for Black Lives, it's not that is tangled up with the Palestinian movement. It's one.
Yeah, for me, this is a very personal struggle. As a third generation Arab American, I think it's easy for a lot of us to kind of get soaked into kind of the dominant culture of individualism. And I think that it's very easy for us in the diaspora to forget the struggles and forget where we came from. I'm really proud that, 3 generations down, me and my family, we're still talking about this, and we're still, speaking up about this and organizing around this.
So I wanted to come just because, I think it's really powerful when, people see someone they know talking about an issue. It's like, okay, maybe there's something more to this. Like, this person I know is out here protesting. It's like, what are they protesting for? So I think it's important to kind of show up and be like, okay, this is an issue, and then people start becoming more aware of it and hopefully want to take action.
Not stop posting. I will not stop talking about it. It's not going to happen. It is not. Neither should you.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I decided to come because I think it's really important to show solidarity to the people of Palestine. I'm also Jewish, and I think as an American Jew, if anything, I think you kind of have a responsibility to show up for stuff like this. In the whole debate regarding Israel and Palestine, I feel like Israel often sort of uses excuses of anti-Semitism to shield themselves from criticism, and so it's maybe helpful to be a Jewish person and stick up, for these people.
These are the big issues that nobody wants to talk about, and nobody wants to solve these issues, and it's about time. This is 21st century. We want life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for all the people on this planet. We are not here against Israel. We are here to show solidarity with the Palestinians so that this persecution and ethnic cleansing ends.
A ceasefire was pronounced, and then right after, Masjid al-Aqsa was raided again. Right after, while they're trying to celebrate their Eid late, because they couldn't celebrate their Eid in the first place. This all happened during Ramadan, which we were fasting. I was fasting. I was tired working in my home. Think about getting bombed while fasting. Think about getting bombed while you're hungry and thirsty and taking care of your children and work. How many times do we have to pretend as if Muslims are not being hurt and being harmed? The reality has to set in. Thank you.
It's just, people in America, I think especially, are just very, numb to the suffering of people in the East and the South.
Can I ask why you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know if it's media. I think that's part of it. I think that, Arab, Muslim suffering is often, it's something that's kind of far away. There was a lot of Islamophobia back in the day, and still now, not even back in the day. So I think in any Muslim country, whenever there's suffering, it's people already have such a low view in general. I mean,
we need to stop the desensitization of Muslim and Arab suffering today. Today. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Palestine will never die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Palestine will never die. Thank you so much for coming.
but I don't think that this is a faith issue, to be honest. I think that it would be just as outrageous if it was reversed, that it was mostly Jewish people who were being persecuted in Israel and Palestine, Israel. But I think that, I don't think that faith should matter here. I think often that's weaponized to kind of, justify what ethnic cleansing and genocide.
As a Muslim, I condemn terrorism, but I also condemn the act of Israel right now.
Sort of like a shield, the implication that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. When I think the real, more pressing anti-Semitic thing is the assumption that all Jewish people support Israel, or that Israel acts in the best interests of like Jews instead of the best interests of just sort of like their settler colonial state.
If you look at the history of United Nations, United States of America has used the veto power more than any other country to veto any resolution to pass through the United Nations. They just stop it. I was a big supporter of Joe Biden, and I still am, but I'm actually very sad to see that this is happening under his watch.
Of dispossession of East Jerusalem Palestinians from their homes, Israeli intrusion in the Al-Aqsa Mosque has resulted in hundreds of Palestinians.
Me and several other organizers are planning a protest for this upcoming Saturday, which is, I think, the 29th. So we're planning a protest for Saturday, and if it rains, then the rain date is Sunday. So if it is raining, then just show up on Sunday. Come out if you're able to on Saturday here in front of City Hall. It starts at 2, and it will go until sunset. We will start and end at City Hall, and in between there will be a march and speakers. One of the goals of the protest is to just bring more awareness around more actions that people can take outside of the protest. So more things around boycotting, BDS, boycotting, divestment, and sanctions. So ways that you can boycott, like your own personal finances, what you give your money to that ends up actually going to Israel. And divestment, asking institutions to stop giving their money to Israel, like so many universities and colleges do, because of their donors. And then sanctions is just asking on a bigger level, telling Congress, telling your elected officials to stop funding Israel. Literally.